President Trump on Friday announced he is withdrawing U.S. support for an international arms trade treaty, the administration's latest move to distance the country from global agreements and institutions. Speaking at a National Rifle Association convention in Indianapolis, Trump said he would never ratify the United Nations Arms Trade Treaty that was signed by former President Obama in 2013. Under my administration, we will never surrender American sovereignty to anyone, Trump told the group, which erupted in applause. We will never allow foreign bureaucrats to trample on your Second Amendment freedoms. Trump signed paperwork instructing the Senate to halt the ratification process, held up the document as the crowd cheered USA, USA, then tossed his pen into the crowd. A senior administration official later told reporters that a formal withdrawal letter would be submitted to the UN in the coming days. The NRA has long been opposed to the treaty, and Trump told audience members, I hope you're happy. Trump said he had not told the NRA's senior leadership he was going to make the announcement during his speech, even though news outlets were told of the decision ahead of time. I didn't even tell them about it. So they're listening in this big room and they're saying, I wonder what he's going to do. The good thing with me, you never know, the president said. Rubin says, what has Trump doing this time? He's pulling out of this treaty that we've had for 6 years. I wanted to look into the details of it as this article is about to go into, so bear with me. The treaty is designed to regulate the $70 billion international arms trade and prevent conventional arms from being used by terrorists, human traffickers, and others. It was submitted to the Senate by the Obama administration in 2016, but was never ratified. Critics of the treaty, including the NRA and other conservative groups, said would have infringed on national sovereignty, an argument rejected by the Obama administration. The Trump administration also worried the U.S. would be held to an unfair standard because the world's second and third largest arms exporters, Russia and China, are not parties to the treaty. The U.S. is the world's #1 exporter of arms. The U.S. already has significant controls in place to regulate our arms transfers. Other countries do not, the senior administration official said. So, it's one of those things where, as I said before, in the current era, if you say anything bad about whichever party, you get accused of being a bootlicker for the other one. But like I said, I've had my rebukes of Obama on a lot of domestic issues, but as far as treaties and agreements, I just never had a problem with them on. Whether it was the Iran deal, the restoring relations with Cuba, anything that was about having some international coalition say, hey, we're going to give ourselves these rules, and we're going to stay in this because we don't want to have susceptible, prospects of war. I had no problem with it at all. And so I've tried to remain objective in that manner. I just don't get why, like, with this speech, they really were like, yeah, man, he's going to get rid of that treaty. Yay. So it's a little bit weird stuff. But I thought that was the biggest story that came out of today. It's part of a pattern. We've had a bunch of these different agreements just like thrown out the wazoo. We had the Iran deal get about to say something that's not too family friendly, get blown to pieces. We had the Paris Agreement get thrown in the trash. We had the INF Treaty get yanked. Just all these different agreements, and I don't understand what the point of it is. It's almost like the entire tenure now at this point is just. And I've been saying this for a while. Like everything they do is just gut whatever was there before because your party has to say the other team sucks and then continue on like it was. So it's weird. The world order and they're having it are from. I mean, hey, I'm not a fan of either one of them, so I'll leave that right there. There actually was a video that Ron Paul did earlier today where he was talking about the income inequality, and I didn't I didn't watch it because I had stuff to do, but I saw a couple of comments, and they were spot on. They were talking about, you have just it was lovely seeing people that were just saying this stuff's been around for a long time. It's not getting reversed. It's nice to just actually get serious individuals who aren't here to play on anybody's stuff and have a genuine conversation about this content or these things that are going on. But I did find one thing interesting in that article where they were talking about the what was it? Something to the effect of that the treaty can't was signed, I think 2013, but then it wasn't put before the Senate for 3 years, or it wasn't ratified, even though it came up that year for ratification. So I'm going to see if I can find some more information on it. You know, a lot of these things just kind of they go on the wayside. Like we don't have enough conversations about treaties and agreements and stuff of that nature. It's just, is this country going to hate this one this year, and if so, what's the deal? I mean, I hate the media for that reason. They won't cover anything other than when it's either getting screwed, or if maybe when it's initially conceived or signed. Other than that, they just completely throw it away. They don't cover it all year after year, nothing. It's incredible. Okay, 101 states have ratified the treaty, and a further 34 states have signed but not ratified it. I'm pretty sure the U.S. is one of those 34 states. It was negotiated in New York City at a global conference under the auspice of the United Nations from 2 to 27 in July 2012. As it was not possible to reach an agreement on the final text at the time, a new meeting for the conference was scheduled for the U. They adopted the ATT. Signatories. Let me see here. They have a list of the countries down here. Wow, this is really nice. But the problem is they have it all split up in these little different subsections. Let's see. Paul says United Nations is satanic, most of its stuff. Change its name to. I'll go on. You don't not know this. And then Bot Vulture says let the nukes be free. Yeah, let the. Well, I don't. It's not nukes. It's I mean, it's arms, whatever. We can go over this stuff all day long. We get the point that they're pulling out of another treaty after pulling out of other treaties, and this is just like it's. I guess I'll put you like this: it seems like the only stuff any of these different presidents or administrations stay in is evil stuff, or just things that are not liked by most regular people. But then they have to like keep the stuff going so that they can appease their donors and all that. Because it's like, when was the last time you saw one of these different parties say, hey, we need to get out of those wars that this other one got us into? They don't do it. But whenever it's a treaty or some kind of seeming peace thing going on, oh, get rid of this. Paul says, yup, to destroy the human race is their will. I feel like they have their own little bomb shelter they like to go into. So no matter what happens, it's never going to directly get to them. But I get what you're saying. They just don't have a problem with doing things that aren't really. I guess that's my issue with the audience. Like, part of me wants to get mad at them for just cheering that stuff on, because I guarantee you they haven't actually read the text of the agreement or really know anything about it at all, or thought about it prior to Trump saying he would pull out of it. But I also have to say, well, damn, the media doesn't talk about this stuff either. I mean, from what it said here, they knew about this prior to him going up to the NRA, and they wouldn't even speak about it. They just kept it entirely quiet. Paul says it's all about control. Ever notice who you vote for? Same warmongers are still in power. Hey, we're gonna have to ban you soon. You're speaking too much reality. Next thing you know, you'll be telling us about the military-industrial complex and how the 7 wars are mainly done to, have the U.S. police the world and not to actually save anyone. The banks, the media, everything. Yeah, your account's going to get toppled. You keep talking like that. I mean, what do you think this is? Free speech? I'm sorry to Ruben for not being able to do a stream yesterday. I know he wanted to get his Israel follow-up stream, have a sequel. They all run by the 200 governments around the world. LOL, what free speech? Well, you saw that they're, I was saying that I don't like Alex Jones, but I still thought he should have been kept on YouTube for that very reason, that people, like, they get too comfortable when it's someone they don't like getting screwed, and then when it happens to them, oh, woe is me, poor me. So, let's see, Ruben says those wars are for the Greater Israel Project. See the Odded Yenin plan. Yeah, I'll make sure to look into it when I go and replay the stream afterward. He's a shill. And then Paul says spot on. Well, you get my point that it wasn't about liking what he was saying or anything. It's just the fact that when you start allowing these different people in positions of power on these networks and websites to determine, hey, you said this, so now you're off. What exactly can you justify for any of us being able to stay on here? Like, what do we have to say to get yanked if it's all up to some invisible figure who has their own position on what we can and can't say? David says, look at how they write about it. Peep game. America will continue to abide by United States laws. So is a corporation that is controlling America. So how you doing? Pretty much, they have their own little slick wording. They don't want to deviate from the script effectively. So like anything that, just like with the INF treaty, they're like, oh, Russia's been violating. It was like, yeah, but the point of having the treaty is so that you can say, okay, neither side is going to do this to the other side. When you're out of the treaty, that means all bets are off, and you're now saying, hey, we can do this too. So again, a lot of times the message is like just completely destroyed. Just like with that stupid smear question for Bernie. Oh, would you favor the Boston bomber being able to go back and vote? Like, that's not the point. The point is that most people are in prison did not bomb somewhere, and that it's taking or whatever. Like they go and they make stuff that isn't even the majority of people now be centered around something else. So it's a sad story. Jesus Christ. And again, we actually have an entire set of people who are doing this. It's me. You had a voice acting, wondering and noticed you were live. Yeah, I did. If you want to speak about it, I mean, I'd rather it be on it in the comment section, but it is what it is. Okay, Paul says America is not America anymore, uh, nor is Britain. Brian, check the Liberty Bell out. The True Stream Media, it will blow your mind. Paul's trying to turn this into the exposition. I just came here to talk about this treaty and why it was a bad idea to pull out of it. And then Paul came in here with the whole 9 yards. It's like, let's reveal everything. Ruben says now multiple idiots are making polls about if criminals are allowed to vote over Bernie's answer. Yeah, and again, the whole point is people will readily admit to you we have a broken system where they discriminate against certain ethnic groups. So the point was criminals already vote. Murderers and serial killers that haven't been caught, guess what they have the option to do? Go vote. It's like the grander scheme of things just flies above their head on purpose because it means smearing somebody that they don't like. It's just like all those anti-Bernie clowns on Twitter. They're not opposed to him over a policy specific, because the people that, just like there was this one guy here he is, licking, drinking Kamala Harris's, what, and then is like, oh yeah, I can't stand Bernie. Like, well, that she's given lip service to his ideas, right? So you now have to admit it's not really the fact that he's pushing for these positions. It's because you're a crybaby that thinks that he's the reason Hillary lost, even though, you get my point. They overreact all the time after. Paul says the real criminals are the ones in the White House, the parliaments. They're the biggest murderers of all time. Yeah, it was the strangest thing watching and I'm sure Ruben is privy to this too. You saw all that controversy around Ilhan Omar's comments. And I'm like, you guys are whining that she said an event where 2,000 people died was an event, but then you guys have your mouths completely shut and closed when the U.S. government bombs 85,000 babies under presidents from both parties. It's like, this has to be a joke. I just think I'm in some kind of like, that's why I said we live in the Twilight Zone, man. People get freaked out over stuff that isn't even, like, when you watch what they get mad about and the stuff they don't, you know what is real and what's not. David says good amount of people know that, Paul, but I think a lot of people don't care or just don't know what to do. Yeah. Well, again, the thing is that to know stuff that's not flashed on the TV every 5 seconds, you have to go and look for it and try to check it out on your own. Um, so between the people who do care and actually do that, and the ones that are just like whatever, it's hard to get any real change because there's too many individuals that think something doesn't affect them if it's not happening to them specifically. See, Paul says, "Clown world, honk honk." We're made to be lost souls. We're made to keep hating on each other, etc. I mean, that's kind of my point. That like it's gotten to we're in an era where basically if one side does it, it's bad. If our side does it, it's good. That's why we have Romney Care with a different name, and now it's good for the Democrats. When if he passed it, if he won the election, they would have all lost their mind. Lethal, lethal, is that from that what cartoon is? I feel like that's from some show. I'm trying to remember. I don't recall. You're gonna have to remind me of what exactly was. Yeah, yeah. I was thinking that was Jesus Christ. Some of those references, I always think like on the tip of my tongue. Like, there's no way he's referencing that. He's got to be talking about something of a much more sophisticated vernacular or whatnot. I mean, holy hell, they've taken these countries and they put them all together in a little box, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna pull out of this treaty with this one, and we're gonna say screw you to that one, and then you look at the rest of the world. I mean, like think how crazy this is, right? We're the only one that gets out of the Iran nuclear deal, and then all the other countries are still in there, but then the U.S. is telling you it's a bad deal, and you're supposed to believe them. Like, no, the rest of the world is looking at the US and saying you're really stupid and you don't honor your commitments, and we're not going to sign any more treaties with you because every time we sign one, whoever the hell gets elected from the other party decides to pull out of it. So we have no, our credibility is just that's gone. uh, and what is this? Sniffs says he's, oh, well, I mean, I already did a video yesterday about why he's gonna lose, so I'm not too worried. I just feel like that polling was always based around his name recognition, and then the fact that like people have a somewhat fond memory of him to an extent. But I think when they actually get to voting, it's going to be just like 2008, where he drops out in like Iowa. Might get like 2% if he's lucky. These people are evil. They use ballots made from uranium. Like, wow. The material just already shows who they are, huh? Ruben says a creepy old man competing against the current creepy old man. Yeah, that's kind of the thing, that all these people are touchy feely, and because they're in a position of power, they get away with it. And what's even more disturbing is that if he wasn't running, you wouldn't have anyone actually discussing this. Like, he would be able to just be be done with being VP and just sit around for the next 10 to 20 years, however long his lifespan is, like blah 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 blah. No one's gonna ever confront me over touching little girls and whatnot. It's all good. It's okay. I'm innocent. That's literally what he would do, and he would. No one would care because he's not a contemporary political figure anymore. The babies are still dying from that in Afghanistan, Iraq, to this day. Yeah, but again, the U.S. keeps telling you how helpful they are, how when we get involved, it's so great and good, and the world is thankful. So don't buy that for drinking baby's blood. Oh, because he supported all those different conflicts. I get what you're saying, Paul. You have a colorful way of phrasing it. Ruben says, "What was the toy with the two fighting robots called?" Oh, what's you mean the one in the boxing ring where they're like this, and then one of them hits the other one, the head extends all the way up. Is that what you're talking about? I'm forgetting its name, but if I'm just trying to see if I at least know the idea of what you're saying. David says that hurts, and I'm not even there just looking at those photos. Yeah, well, that's called having empathy and not being able to, do certain things that other people who have less are able to do. Just like, um, and I'm not even gonna give an example. I'm good because I think you already get the point that whereas you can look at those pictures and go, that's a horrible thing. My government shouldn't be doing that. There are people who are in a top enough position where they can make a difference and choose not to, and then can sleep all well at night, knowing they got their defense contractor coins for the day. Paul, can you look up whatever game that is? I want to make sure that Ruben gets this thing answered. We don't want to have our one Patreon guy not be able to get his questions answered. We got to go out of our way. I don't know if Ather is still here, but part of the reason I said go in the comment sections because then you wouldn't have to listen to political stuff that I would assume you wouldn't be interested in to begin with. So just saying. But yeah, this entire series, like the last 2 years, have just been treaty dies, treaty dies, treaty dies. Like I remember when the Paris Agreement, when we pulled out of that, I was like, "There's no way in hell that he's gonna like literally just for the next 4 years, if not 8, depending if he gets elected or not, pull out of every single one." And like to this day, I can't think of one that he, when it's been a relevant factor, actually stayed in. Like I literally believe every single treaty we've ever been in. And it's not just Obama stuff because the INF one's from Reagan. So it's like every single one of them is just. I mean, holy hell. And again, because people don't understand the international consequences of this stuff, they don't think of it really that critically. David says, "What is this? Rock'em and Sock'em? Oh, okay. That's the name of that toy." With the I think it's the red and the blue one in the boxing ring, and they're like this. Jesus Christ. Yeah, man. How to rock 'em and sock 'em. And then Ruben's gonna go buy one on Amazon in a few minutes to relive the nostalgia. Hey, he buys one of those, then he uploads a video with Biden's face on the blue one and Trump's face on the red one. Because they've been enough pictures to where you could theoretically get a photo of the side of each of their faces, and then from the front, stick them all together, fuse them. Let's see. Paul says red, blue Dems, and a Republic. LOL. All a show. Yeah, like those. That's what politics is nowadays. Like when people actually discuss the issue. See, that's why people don't like this channel because I don't bootlick for either party. So if Trump does something I like, he gets credit. If he does something I don't like, we talk about it. But he won't get flack, or he won't get any more flack for doing something that someone else that was his predecessor also did. But like I was saying, the red and blue thing is perfectly analogous with the period we have now, where like literally politics is just, let's act stupid for a couple of years and then see who wins the White House, and then then the other side gets to act stupid. Like no one's actually doing anything at this point. That's why when what was his name when Garfield, the president, got shot and Congress was out of session for I think 4 or 5 months between when he got shot and when he died of his injuries, the country worked perfectly fine because these people don't do anything. They're just useless. Only time they do something, it affects in a negative way, for the most part. So, man, I think what really is that most of those members of the House and the Senate, they get really comfortable with the fact that there's like another 400 members or 100 more people, depending on which chamber they're in, and they just go, okay, well, I'm just going to sit here and coast and not really do much of anything, and I get reelected every couple of years because I have no serious challenger. I mean, like, I guarantee you, if you ask most people, what has your congressman/congresswoman done, they couldn't tell you anything. Like, how many Congress members are right now saying, "Oh my God, how could he pull out of this agreement?" And here's the good. I bet you they don't even know what that is. Like, I kept trying to explain, all these elections are determined by money and the people who are running. And when you don't have a serious challenger run against some idiot, they get to win. I would say the same thing about my Congress person who's a Democrat. They only win because no one challenges them that's a Democrat as well or liberal or whatever the hell. So, it's just people always try to make it seem like these individuals who are in positions of power, quote unquote, in Congress are so rare and they have these amazing qualities that make them leaders. Like, no, they're just douchebags who got around a couple of donors. And like I said, if any of them were actually serious about their position, you'd hear them. If they're again, if they're Democrats, or at least if they are opposed to this treaty, tearing their hair out at the fact that we're getting out of it, and saying, "Hey, this is why you shouldn't do this," or if they like it, saying, "Oh my God, I'm so glad we're pulling out of this." But then you have to ask them, "Well, why didn't you advocate for pulling out of it before it was brought up by the president?" Let's see. Paul says it's a mad world. They even have women thinking it's cool. Even now they have. Oh man, don't start on that, man. We don't need a pro-life, pro-choice discussion in here. They love to gas you up with those social issues to like make you forget everything else. U.S. Not Planned Parenthood. What's the name of that group? It's like the Susan B. Anthony pro-life team or some kind of thing. But you ask them what they think of, like, okay, you like this president or this congressman, whoever the hell, because they're pro-life. In terms of their abortion voting record, how do you square that with their position of killing innocent children in foreign countries year after year? Let's see. They want to center the U.S. in the same way Europe is. It sucks. It's all uh, in our lands now. At the same time, there are people that Americans are stupid for asking the same questions and doing the same research you do. Well, that's kind of my thing. That like, you know, it feels like that's why I said you live in the twilight zone, because if I go out and look into this stuff and why it's a problem, I'll have an individual say you're dumb for having a position that is informed by something that you can prove to be reality. That's why I can't take them seriously, because you're telling me I'm stupid for looking into why my position is the way it is. Which is should be the polar opposite of like why that position is just it's weird, man. Jesus. We keep saying that we're gonna just use Christ's name in vain over and over again. Paul says they want. Imagine at the end of the stream he just zaps me. That's the final part of the stream. Like, you've been calling me for a while now. Paul says they want Islam to take over and they can break away with all the tag. While most people will be poor and starving, people are not stupid for looking into things. Well, it's like I said, we have 76% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, and they're going to keep telling you about how great the economy is. So I just like you can't even you have to just sort of accept that there are people who, up until their house crumbles in front of them, will believe everything is fine and adjusted and good and well endowed, if you know what I mean. David says, agree with all of you. Wow, where have you humans been all my life? I'm pretty sure the only one in here you've never seen before is Paul, and that's because he doesn't actually come to the channel with any regularity. He just, showed up. It's like, well, let me make my guest appearance on this person's stream. Paul says, shut up and watch TV and eat your TV dinner, eat McDeath, and collide with. All right, man, that's Jesus. Wow. Ruben says multiple cities in the U.S. have leaded water. By the way, speaking of cities, you heard about that mayor of was it Baltimore, where she had her office raided, and the governor was telling her to resign. Like, damn, it has not been her week. And then the solo admin says, "Welcome." He's gonna wave at Paul. Yeah, Ruben. Let me see if I can send you an article with it, if you want it, presumably. Also, if you hear a sound that's not that's why I hate the Hill, like their website. At least when it's not mobile, because there's this thing where these sounds start playing. Type in raid Baltimore. Also dumb, like just sitting away from from the computer like this. But I'm trying to do the stream and also show you the story. Can't remember this woman's name. I always. It's a sad day when I don't remember your name and you're a current politician. That's terrible. That's how irrelevant you are if I can't name your name and you're currently in office. And then Paul says, sorry about the caps. I am too. I can't believe you would do this to me. I thought I was special to you. Why would you write me all these caps? Am I not worthy of the lowercase letters? I'm very disgusted. I want another apology, and I want one that's written with proper punctuation, that's at least 7 sentences long, and it doesn't make me rage quit my stream and trigger the audience. I want it right now. Let's see it. Let's get ready. Notice how everyone stopped typing because they're waiting on you, Paul. We want some full sentences with proper spelling. Again, grammatical punctuation. Definitely reviewed before being posted. And that convey the apology you seek to give the entire audience. David says you want us to politically correct. Yeah, everybody has to start. Well, I would personally like to see more females in this stream because it's too much sausage. And then like I'm gonna have the next one like a bunch of broads like sitting in the background. I guarantee you, if I did that, we'd have like it go from like 6 people to like 18 or something. People you never seen before losing their minds. It's funny, like getting attention on this stuff is crazy. Like just you put up a picture, insane. Have always felt this way from very, very young. I feel like that question is reminding me of like when people would ask me how tall are you over and over again. It's like after a while, I'm done. You answer it so many times. Feel like with Bernie, are you a socialist? You want to turn the U.S. into the Soviet Union? You think socialism can work in the U.S.? Are you a socialist? You're a socialist. Like, relax. He's already answered this before. I can't wait for, and we're gonna have to put up with at least another full year of that. Holy hell. Dude, there was some person on Twitter that called Pelosi a socialist, and I was like, yeah. See, that's how I know you're stupid because you guys are now going around and saying, oh, she voted for barriers 10 years ago, so she can't be too far removed from the president you like, right? And she sure as hell doesn't want any of the stuff that Sanders wants. So I'm surprised we even got the Yemen bill. I want to know, due to the fact that so many people are out with the fakes or blue haired, so they're out with the fakes or the Marges. If that's what you're saying. Again, I've answered that too many times. I'll tell you what, if you show up for another stream, I'll tell you then. Let's see. David says can't wait for the 2020 election. Now that is going to be a big show. Well, that's kind of my thing, that if they're not discussing ideas, like I'm looking at this stupid mayor, the Booty Judge or whatever. I'm referring him what Secular Talk calls him. It's like this dude is sitting here. He's not talking about income inequality. He's not talking about getting out of any of these different conflicts. I'm seeing something about him comparing Sanders to Trump and then saying he doesn't think Sanders can win a like, dude, discuss the actual policies. I don't care about your, non-based on any polling predictions. That's stupid. Like if they did a poll right now and it said Trump at 59, Kissinger at 21. Okay, fine. You can say that, you have polling that supports your position. With him, it's just, I feel like this person can. No, man, just talk about why anyone would vote for you over the other person. How are you different from them, Yeah, it definitely is a big show, Ruben. And remember, we're only this is like, God, man. I keep every time I think about how much longer we have to put up with this. We have at least another what is that, 10 months of back and forth between Trump and the ones that are running, as well as Trump doing, things in office and then all reacting to it and trying to grandstand and look impressive. Just like that commentator on C-SPAN Cell News on New Year's Day, that this is going to be a year of mudslinging and grandstanding. And we've already seen it. We've already seen people go on Twitter and post little stupid, clips of Sanders or any of these other people, and try to make himself seem like, oh man, I'm glad the person I like doesn't do this. So, but I'm saying that if these elections weren't around, we wouldn't, like all the stuff since Trump's been elected has literally been for this, like just so they can run and see how far they can get in this primary. I guarantee you, if Trump won that election, they said, all right, we're not going to hold another presidential election for 30 years. You wouldn't, all these senators that are running right now and all these governors, they would all have been quiet and gone back to a little safe space and just been finished with everything. I mean, it's crazy. See, Ruben says we need to pay attention to the Senate and House candidates as well. People get way too focused on just the presidential office. Well, that's my point. That like it's not just the candidates though. Like you have these different elections right there going on, but what are the people who are currently in office doing? Like I look at my representative and I ask myself, does he deserve to be retained? Does this individual need to stay in office? Have they done things that me and as a constituent am I impressed by and feel address the concerns of myself and the people around me? And I answered a long time ago, no. So I voted against them. I've now been able to vote against them in multiple elections. Every single one is always against that person because I don't like them, and I just don't think they're a good member of the House. Same thing with Feinstein. I voted against her in the primary and voted against her in the general, and still got stuck with that dinosaur. So I pay attention to a lot of this stuff, and I try to do what I can. Let's see. David says 2020 is perfect vision. So if humans don't have the eyes to see through this nonsense, well, yeah, y'all know what is just start prepping the underground bunkers. Well, and then Ruben says okay, yeah, well, that's what I meant. I interpreted to mean you were talking about like looking at the House and Senate candidates too. And I was trying to say that I also wanted to look at the incumbents and what they've done. And I feel like most of them just don't say anything. Okay, Paul says, "Got to go now. Have fun. Really good talking to, and then bye. All right. Well, I hope you show up again, and then you'll get your question answered. So it'll be nice, depending on if you decide to return and make a reappearance." That stream on Saturday was crazy, getting all these people that I hadn't seen all like in months to show back. I was like, what this a reunion? Did somebody die? Is this why we're all gathering together? I'll probably end up I have a fairly interesting story for tomorrow. So it's all good. Because I said, well, I kind of teased it on Wednesday where somebody pissed me off, and I'll talk about that in detail. But to kind of close this out, so the U.S. gets to pull out all these treaties. Um, it pulling out of this one's really stupid. Doesn't matter if it's Trump. Doesn't matter if it's Obama. Doesn't matter if it's Bush or Clinton or the other Bush or Reagan or Carter or Ford or Nixon or Johnson or Kennedy or Eisenhower or Truman or Roosevelt or Hoover or Coolidge or Harding. Again, whoever does it is really dumb. I don't see some comments that show up. Why is that? I have no idea. David, I see you. Ruben says, when I said candidates, I want to also include incumbents. Everyone forgets that it's just that is up for. Oh yeah, you know how it is, Ruben. I was really into that Texas Senate race last year because it for good reason. It turned into it broke two records. It was the most expensive Senate race of all time, and also the O'Rourke received more votes in Texas, the most of any Democrat ever. So it was worth giving coverage and actually getting involved with. I'm so grateful, David. I want to pat myself on the back for having entertained you for the moment. Hopefully you'll show up tomorrow for when I roast this person that got on my nerves for about 2 weeks. But yeah, so getting out of these treaties is dumb. I don't care who does it, what party they're from, and I can't wait to see all the different Democrats that are running. Do their little thing of, I'm so appalled that Trump would do this. What a sick thing. The grandstanding. Well, again, it's concerning that, but it's not entirely all the way. Uh, if that answers your question, bro. So that will be a component of it tomorrow, but not the full thing. I appreciate that, David. Again, I'm glad you showed up. I'm glad that the sole admin showed up. Um, although he won't be the sole one for too much longer. So thank you for participating, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night or good day, whatever time it is for you.